The Human Optimization Podcast is proudly brought to you by Vicon Supplements, where quality meets sustainability. Vicon's all-natural supplements are handcrafted and sustainably produced in Canada, bringing you products that nourish both your well-being and our planet. Visit viconsupplements.com today and be a part of a greener, healthier future.
Are you ready to embark on a journey to the best version of you? Join me, Lisa Pitel-Killah, as I dive deep into the world of hair tissue mineral analysis and functional medicine with fellow experts, and guide you on the path of unlocking your full potential. As a multi-time kettlebell sport world champion, I'm on a mission to reach high-performance professionals from around the world to help you minimize tiring symptoms, maximize health, and gain unstoppable energy. This is the Human Optimization Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Human Optimization Podcast. I have an amazing gentleman here with me today named Paul Burgess. He's the founder of the global telehealth practice, Paul Burgess Functional Medicine Ltd, and the owner of Paul Burgess Wellness. With over 2 decades of experience in treating patients, he realized that what people really need nowadays is certainty that the choices they make about their health are the right ones for them. With so much conflicting information on the internet today, and we're going to dive into this, it's impossible to know what is actually relevant and what's just hype. Paul has been running the Paul Burgess Show podcast as well since 2014, so tune into that. He's the author of 2 books and is the creator of the 3x5 diet plan. We're going to talk about that today too. Paul has a goal for each of his patients to live a happy, fulfilling life. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lisa. I mean, that was a great intro. I'm really flattered, but yeah, great. I'll take it all day long.
Right? Isn't it always wonderful hearing your own intro and you're like, is that really me?
I need to tell myself that more often.
You do. Yeah. You do need to tell yourself that more often. And so give us a little background. I always love hearing the background of the individual. How did you get here?
Wow. Okay. So you know what? This is a really odd answer to that question because, I mean, I do a lot of speaking, and I often get asked this question, right? But I think this is a bit odd. Anyway, in the 60s, when I was born, that's the 1960s, it was an odd era because we were still feeling the ramifications of the Second World War. We had this whole, in London, certainly, this whole kind of movement going on. But my parents were still quite traditional in their ways. And so there's no blame or any judgment. It's just the way life was. There was not a great deal of physical or emotional connection. It was very much like a traditional, strict upbringing. You know, when you're told to do this, you do it. You don't question it, and you get on. And it was fine, right? We didn't suffer for it. But I think it definitely made me look for ways to feel valued, like we all do, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the ways from a very young age was trying to be healthy or trying to look into things that gave us health implications. So what are you eating and, you know, exercise or that kind of thing. And I got into weight training at quite a young age and kind of built my love of health and things that way. Now, it was completely misguided, by the way, at the time, but it was my kind of way of getting into that health regime.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, I went into a very successful business in the City of London that we started, and it was horrible and it was stressful and it gave you all the trappings and none of the health or happiness. And after a prolonged period of time, which should have been a lot quicker, but you know, it's difficult to give up those sort of things.
Yep.
I decided I want to do something that actually I enjoy. And then I became a practitioner. And I initially qualified, even though I'd been looking into health since I was kind of a very young lad. But I qualified in clinical nutrition and then added many anti-aging, DNA, genetics, functional medicine over the years. And that brings us to where we are now. And in that time, we set up the telehealth, which was long before COVID and long before things were fashionably online.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing it a long time before that. We have patients all around the world, pretty much every continent except the Arctic and Antarctic. We haven't quite cracked that yet, but everywhere else we've got people, and we've had great success from, you know, housewives that want to lose weight to I can't say the word cure, but from people who had cancer that don't have it anymore. So there are,
Amazing.
you know, it's been a fantastic ride. I love it.
Well, and I find too, you know, it's amazing to know the power that you have by focusing on food and natural alternative therapies, right? I think even us being in this realm, sometimes we miss appreciating that as much as it's actually worth.
Well, I think it's one of the biggest things that's problematic nowadays. People are looking for the one thing I need to do,
Yep.
the
The
quick fix,
magic.
the thing that I've just seen on Instagram that's going to tell me I'm going to get all the energy or
Mm-hmm.
all the sleep
Yeah.
or all the sex drive or all the cognitive function or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is being promised, right? All the weight loss.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the one thing. That's
Yeah.
what I'm missing. Once I get that, everything will be fixed.
Yeah. So let's dive into that because, you know, the majority of my time is spent mentoring practitioners for a specific kind of aspect of testing. And so one of the hardest parts is getting into even reading articles that have been released by individuals and things like that, and digging into them and looking into them. And even as health practitioners and even you know, medical doctors, naturopaths, we can get into the rabbit holes of what we find online and tend to dig our way out. But it's really hard for our clients to be able to do that with so many things online hitting them every day, from TikTok to Instagram to ads on Facebook, right? We mentioned Chat GPT. Let's dive into that, and just because people are looking online for that magic remedy or pill or diet or whatever that is to be able to solve all their problems.
Yeah. But that's because that's human nature. You know, we're built to solve problems,
Mhm.
and we solve problems by using our experience. How did I solve the problem last time? Well, when I wanted to fix my washing machine, I looked on YouTube and there was the problem and there was the man that showed me how to fix it.
Yeah.
I followed what they said and my washing machine now works again. But right, same for pretty much anything that we're trying to find. How do I do a particular card trick, or how do I knit a particular pattern? Whatever it is, you can find that online.
Yeah.
And it works. So why would I not do the same with my health? I can't sleep. Let me go online and find out. And the
Why not?
trouble is, when you look at a washing machine, let's take that as a poor example.
Mhm.
It has a finite amount of parts that are all in the place they should be, and they don't change. As long as it's the same model that you're looking for, the one online is the same one as you have in your utility room or your kitchen.
Mhm.
And so when you look at component A and you look at yours, it's in the same place, it's the same shape, it's doing the same thing, and you can swap it out and it will work. That is not the case when it comes to your body, right? Because firstly, every single person on the planet is different, which is a biological just miracle, right? How we get through a day, I don't know, but we are all significantly different from each other. So when you look for the answer to your problem online, what you're finding is generic information that should be treated as something of interest. It shouldn't even be treated as information. A lot of people use this term infotainment. Oh, it's just entertainment, which is informational.
Yeah.
You need to look at it as though it has no relevance to you, because it doesn't. Because unless the person that's giving the advice online knows your height, your weight, your age, your stress levels, your liver function, your hormones, your blood glucose, your sleep patterns, your hydration, and probably a dozen other things, there's absolutely no reason why the information they're giving you is relevant to your life. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have a practitioner that you're working with and they know all of your backstory, they know all of your blood markers, your organic acids, your toxicity levels and everything else, and they say, this is what I suggest you should do, then guess what? It's probably going to work really well for you.
Yeah.
But just seeing something online that's promising you drop a dress size in a week, or, you know, improve your sleep by taking this supplement, honestly, complete waste of time. And you'll probably end up spending a great deal of money and becoming very frustrated because none of it works. The amount of patients I speak to that say, I've tried everything, nothing works. Right. What have you tried? And they list it and they go, well, where did you get that from? They go, well, I saw this YouTube. I mean, he's a very famous doctor and he's telling you this is what we should be doing. So, and it's like, well, yeah, but how's that relevant to you if we don't know you as the patient, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's the easiest way to the easiest way to find the information. And not only that, we've got conflicting information being given to us.
That's true too.
In the same minute, right? This person says, if you do not go carnivore, you will die. And this person says, well, unless you're vegan, you will get cancer. So if you ever even look at a piece of meat, you're going to end up with mitochondrial dysfunction and Alzheimer's. And, you know, it's like, what are you talking about? Because for some people, they will thrive on a carnivore diet, potentially. I will use it in an intervention. If I've got a cancer patient that's having treatment, actually, it's quite a good intervention if you do it properly for a short period of time whilst you're working on fixing all the damage that's been done. But some people will thrive on it long term. Some people will thrive on a vegan diet long term. But it doesn't mean it's going to work for the next person. Exactly. And so the individual has to be assessed properly. And it sounds like you're mentoring people with testing. And so you'll know what information is coming from that test. In addition to all the other details that you have, give you a very comprehensive understanding of what that organism body needs to support it and turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stop looking online, basically.
Yeah. And without knowing at least a partial blueprint of what you are, right, you have no baseline to work from.
Yep.
Right.
And that's before you get into genetics, right? That's before you get into, okay, so 25% of the world are what's called an APOE4 genotype. And you're either a 3-4 or 4-4 genotype. A ketogenic diet, which is very popular, or was very popular for sure, which will very often be done wrong because it will have high amounts of saturated fat in it, which is not the goal. That would be really destructive to an APOE4 genotype, because the saturated fat will drive up high amounts of inflammation. APOE4 genotypes are susceptible to cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, dementia, more so than other types, a 3-3 or a 2-3. One of the things that drives Alzheimer's, dementia is inflammation. So you've got somebody who's susceptible to Alzheimer's and is doing a diet which supposedly is going to be healthy and keep them well forever and a day, but is realistically in that genotype wrong and going to cause them to accelerate their dementia problems. But no one told me that when they were telling me, here's steak, you need to eat steak and stop eating the vegetables or stop eating the rice or whatever else it is. They tell me it would fit me, and I lost weight. I don't understand. Why is this bad for me? Why are my liver markers so high? Why are all my hormones starting to get sketchy? Why is it that my blood glucose, saturated fat in the wrong body type that causes inflammation will affect your blood glucose? But fat affecting my blood glucose, what are you talking about? And my cholesterol's gone off the charts, and they told me this was going to fix my cholesterol, right? So very, very important sorry, I'm going off on a rant then, but very important you get you understand that the information you're picking up is right for you. That's all.
Yeah. And, you know, if there was, well, and I mean, and nutrition plans even change based on stress as well, right? There are so many factors that affect what we put in our mouth and how they're going to react when they actually enter the body. And, you know, we try and think about, okay, assessing stress today, right? And with a giggle after, going, well, I don't know. Who's not stressed? And,
Exactly. That's
right,
modern life, right? Everyone's stressed.
who's not
You know,
stressed? But then not only looking at, like, and I think you can share on this too, is that we're not just talking about external stress, you know, family matters, finances, job, work stress, all these things. We're talking about internal stress too, right? You're talking about organic acid testing, mold, mycotoxins, right? Candida, like these all cause stress inside the body, which people may not even realize that they have because they could be asymptomatic.
the last thing that people will think about is what their toxic load is.
Mm-hmm.
And but here's an interesting way to think about it. I spoke to somebody today who's also in the US, and he said, well, I was fine in my early 20s. I
Mm-hmm.
got the odd episode, but it wasn't but nowadays he's in his 40s. I get it all the time. I go, yeah, because you picked up and accumulated more and more, like
Yeah.
you just said, molds, toxins, heavy metals, pesticides from the foods that you're eating,
Yeah.
environmental toxins from the pollution that you're breathing in, you know, whatever else it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just layered itself on top, on top, on top. Each one of these things, especially molds and things like yeasts and candidas, clostridias, that kind of thing, these are living organisms.
Yeah.
These things metabolize fuels and they have waste products and they are poisonous to your tissue. It is not a discussion point, it is a point of fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
That this stuff is poisoning the tissue 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And many of them are causes of cancer
Yeah.
and cardiovascular disease because of inflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction and all this kind of stuff. And what are people focusing on? Well, what's the supplement I need to take to improve my energy? Don't worry about that. Let's get your toxins removed first, because all of a sudden your energy is going to go through the roof. And by the way, you're also going to help yourself prevent cancer and dementia and cardiovascular disease and diabetes and anything else that is metabolism driven.
Yeah.
Because toxins are probably the worst thing. We have a company in the US who does a blood test, a toxicity test, and then we do supplementation recommendations, workout recommendations,
Mm-hmm.
diet recommendations, and some other work. And everybody has to have a tox test, because my opinion is, unless you know, like you said, know yourself, unless you know your tox, unless you remove that stuff, all the other fancy stuff is not going to make any difference,
Right.
because you're continually being poisoned day in, day out by the stuff that hasn't been removed. Very easy to pick up heavy metals.
Mm-hmm.
You will know, Lisa, right? Where is a big exposure that people aren't even aware of? They know if they're walking down a street and there's clouds of car fumes and things, oh, I can see that.
The
But
chemical plants across the road.
yeah, right. But what
That's
they don't,
obvious.
but what they, and I think your listeners are probably aware of it, but what people don't think about is what they put on their body, right?
Mm,
So the
that's,
shampoo, the
yep.
makeup, the eyeliner, the
Mm-hmm.
mascara. When you're putting
Yep.
things that close to your eye that are known to have cancer-causing properties in it, and
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it every day, multiple times a day sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
for decades, and it's not just the eyeliner or the mascara or the lipstick or the foundation or the shampoo or the conditioner or the body wash or the nail varnish
Mm-hmm.
or the deodorant that's full of aluminium, right?
Yep.
This people are putting it on themselves for decades and not even aware that the toothpaste they're using is likely going to cause other problems
Yep.
that are heavy metal based and so on. So while they think they're trying to look after themselves, they don't even know what they don't know, right? Which is an odd turn of phrase, but it means that there's stuff going on that's destroying your health that it's not even in your conscious, but it's a thing. And that's why it's so important to have somebody who knows what they're doing to really look at everything that's going on and make sure that the pans that you're using are not poisoning you, and that the other things that you're being exposed to are as limiting as possible when it comes to exposure. Because like you said, modern life, it's really difficult to try and avoid that stuff.
Well, and there's a couple other ones going down the road of toxins that really I want people to think about as well. Similar to, the personal care products, how do you take care of your home?
Yep.
Right? We're washing our dishes with chemicals and then you're eating food off of them, right? Like thinking about what you're using to clean your home and, just keep everything, well maintained, but also chemical free, right?
And there are lots of
ways to do that.
There are lots of really good alternatives now available.
Yeah.
And also, the fire retardant that's sprayed on your sofa and on your mattress and the carpets and the rug you just bought from Home Depot that you put in your front, and it's lovely, and it feels so, it's a shag pile, and when you stand on there with your bare feet, it feels amazing, does it?
Yep.
Okay. Right. So and you put the baby on it to crawl around because it's nice and soft and it's safe.
Yeah.
But these are just normal parts of life.
Yeah.
Right. This is not something that would be unusual to happen, but people aren't aware that these things hold a huge amount of toxicity. The amount of chemicals that have come into our world in the last 100 years, it's like hundreds of thousands. They don't know.
It's incredible.
They're not researched to look at even short-term toxicity, never mind long-term exposure.
Yeah.
And so it's no wonder that people are getting sicker. We're getting the highest rates of cancer, highest rates of Alzheimer's, highest rates of diabetes, highest rates of cardiovascular disease than we've ever had in the history of the world. And yet we're supposed to be the smartest we've ever been. Cancer, 10 years ago, 1 in 3 people would get cancer. Now it's 1 in 2.
Yeah.
Now, how's that cancer research going for you? It's getting progressively worse because we're getting progressively more exposure to things that we know causes our cells to mutate.
Well, and the one that stands out to me too, there is a medical conference I attend at least once a year, and it's for children with special needs, so pediatric.
Yeah.
And, when I was there in 2022, when I realized the incredible increase with regards to even the number of children being born on the spectrum, right, with autism or ASD. And, I think they said, 10 years ago, it was 1 in 10,000. Now it's 1 in 43. 1 in 43 kids.
Yeah.
And we see them all the time. And, it's just astonishing. And you have to think, and again, this is a conference where, yes, it's a medical conference, but it's for alternative therapies, right? So talking about binders and how do we identify heavy metals in these kids and toxins and be able to take care of that, because that, can stem part of that issue that they deal with. And then the other one, I wanted to say an honorable mention to another contaminant that people really don't realize, and that's what their water they're drinking.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So filtering your water with a proper filter is critical. You can have exposure to all kinds of things, including metals in your water.
Well, municipal water supply, whilst it is deemed safe for human consumption by the water supply people, it carries pretty much every kind of toxicant that you can list, even if it's in minute doses, right?
Right.
So in London, for example, we've got 8 million people, I think, I haven't counted them all, but it's about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's said that the water from the tap has been through at least 7 people on average by the time it comes to your faucet, right?
Yeah.
Which is only because we don't have enough water.
Right.
So we recycle it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so we take it out of the tap, we cook with it, we drink it, we go to the toilet, it goes back in the system, it gets cleaned and recycled and comes back to the system again, right? It's just the way cities work.
Mm-hmm.
Trouble is, municipal recycling does not filter out the majority of medications that people take.
Yep.
So things like heart medications, antidepressants, hormones. If you're on the pill as a lady, that is going into the water system and getting recycled. And then the man at number 32 is drinking that stuff.
Yeah.
And we can't figure out why men have got such high estrogen levels nowadays and such low testosterone, not just because of water, by the way. There are lots of reasons.
Right.
It's certainly a contributor to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with heart meds and antidepressants, stuff like that. So it can't get rid of it. So like you say, filtering it properly with using maybe a reverse osmosis filter or something even finer than that is a great way to clean the water that's coming out of your tap. But then the next thing is, well, that generally removes everything. So now you've got to remineralize it. You've got to put the minerals back in.
Yeah.
So don't forget that step.
Yeah.
And it's a, it's a complex thing. Here's the overriding thought process. People are looking for certainty that what they're doing is the best thing for their health.
Mm-hmm.
And we have all these questions. What's the best diet? Should I take supplements? If I should take them, what supplements? If I need to take supplements, how often or how much is the dosage?
Yeah.
How do I get my sleep better? Why is my energy so low? What happened to my sex drive? I'm only 36, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know the answer because, like we said earlier, they've got all these conflicting views. And it becomes a very difficult existence. And I know this sounds weird, but every day people are having these questions in their mind. And if they've got any kind of one or two things, in any kind of illness or not feeling well in some way, it's a main focus that's in the back of their mind the whole time.
Yep.
If they're feeling okay, but they're health conscious, they've also got in the back of their mind all day, is this the right diet? What's that next meal I should have? Should I be eating that? I heard pineapple's bad for you, but this person says I should eat twice as much of it. And, do I? And then, one pizza won't hurt, which it won't, by the way. But there are, all these things in people's mind that there's this confusion going on.
Yeah.
It's a very hard life because you're
Stressful.
constantly focusing on this stuff.
Yeah.
And while you're focusing on it, you're missing all of the amazing joys that life has to give you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're too busy focusing on this stuff.
Yeah.
And guess what? You never come up with the solution to it because you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I could ruminate on why my car's not working for the next 5 years probably and never figure it out because I know nothing about mechanics. Right? I know where the steering wheel is. I know if I point in that direction, I'll go. But if something goes wrong with it, I'm not going to try and figure it out myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm certainly not going to try and go on YouTube and then tinker with it because what generally happens is it just makes it worse.
True.
Right? Same with our health. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's plenty of home mechanics that are very good at that kind of thing or doing the wallpaper or, whatever it is, the DIY stuff. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying no one can do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is it's not me to do my car, right? I'm not going to fix that. I'm just going to make it worse.
Right.
And the majority of people, that's what's going to happen with their health.
Mm-hmm.
So having certainty when you're working with a practitioner like you, for example, for me, one of my team, whatever it is, all of a sudden, you know exactly what you should be doing. You know the diet you should be following, any supplementation you should be using, how to get to sleep and stay asleep, how to improve your energy, everything that is the right thing for you. And all of a sudden, it's way easier than it was before when you were confused.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem people come to a practice with, come into the clinic with is, well, maybe I won't be able to do it, or, you know, I'm not going to understand it. It's going to be too complicated. So no, it's the opposite. It's going to be so simple and so much easier because you're not second guessing it and trying to figure it out yourself, that actually it's going to make life 10 times easier than it was beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see when people know what they're doing, how much improvement they make, and then how much more enjoyment they get from life because they're not stressing over the things that they know nothing about.
Exactly. And I think the biggest takeaway word from that is stress. You reduce the stress, you reduce the inflammation, you increase the eustress, which is good stress because it's things that you love. And just from that aspect of things, you are a healthier organism because the energy has changed, right?
Correct.
It just makes sense. Just makes
Yeah,
sense.
Who knew? And then
Who knew?
but then we get things like biohacking, right? We get I need my red light therapy. There's a big red light there. If you're watching a video of this, that's got dust on it. It's not been out for so long, right? But people want to biohack because they think that's going to be the fix, and they end up doing a dozen different biohacks a day, and they've still got the problems.
Yeah.
But they've still got the problems because none of them are fixing what the issues are.
Exactly.
And people hate it when I say this, but let me tell you, get 8 hours sleep a night.
Mm-hmm. That's
Be
number one.
Be your ideal body weight, which means that you've got the right diet for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a diet that makes you overeat, right? So you're the ideal body weight, which means sleep well, get your diet right, do the right exercise for you.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it's not training 6 days a week, you know, an hour and a half in the gym and all that kind of stuff, killing yourself. Don't matter what it says online as to the aesthetics that you might get from that program, that's going to destroy you in short order. And manage your stress.
Yeah.
Do those 4 things, right? Sleep, ideal body weight, diet, train well, manage your stress. All of a sudden, if you've got all those in place, you don't need a biohack because you feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, it can't be that simple. It is, but it's not simple to get to 8 hours sleep, ideal body weight, know what the training is, how to manage your stress on a daily basis. But you do have to, you know, you've got to put effort into it, but you feel so amazing when you're doing it. You know, when you've got all those things in place that, well, why do I need a cold plunge? Or, you know, whatever else it is, because I feel great. Why do I need to go and do that stuff? Listen, the blue zones, which I'm sure you'll be aware of, are the people that live to 100+ years old and are healthy. None of them have got a gym membership. Right? None of them are taking cold plunges in their back garden.
Yeah.
None of them are sitting in front of a red light therapy. Right?
Yeah.
And they're living active, happy, fulfilling and productive lives and to an old age, right? And there's a lot to be said for that. And I think commercialism has forced health to become nuanced. Unless you buy my Moultrie coffee, you're never going to live.
Right.
And so you have to buy that product and that product and this. I remember a patient of mine once. She came from Ukraine, and she lives in the UK now, and she had some thyroid issues, and she was around when Chernobyl had the meltdown. And I get a lot of people because of where I am. I get a lot of patients who have been through that an exposure to radiation, and I remember her telling me in her kitchen there was all of these pills and potions, right? These supplements and powders that she'd collected over the years, not really knowing what to do with them. But it sounded good at the time when she purchased it. And when she started working with me, because when I work with a patient, it's normally for 12 months minimum. We have a 12-month process, and we have very consistent access. So every 2 weeks we see each other.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 2 months, I think 2.5 months, she said, "Oh, I cleared out all my kitchen last night." I said, "Oh, okay." And I wasn't sure the relevance of why she was telling me it. She said, "Yeah, it's all cleared out now." I said, "Oh, good. When you say cleared out, what do you mean?" She said, "Oh, I had all this stuff on the counter and there was this in the cupboards and so I just got rid of it all." And what transpired was she realized none of it was of use, none of it was necessary, but now she knew what she was supposed to be doing and none of that was part of it. It was all just cluttering up
Mm-hmm.
as a way of her thinking, well, maybe one day I'll need that.
Yeah.
I haven't really figured out why or when, but maybe I will, which is why the purchase was made.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as she'd figured out it wasn't needed, you've cleared all that out. Now, clearing out junk out of your life is also very liberating, right?
Absolutely. Can you imagine how that would feel? That would feel so freeing.
Yeah, because whilst you've got something, you're not sure why you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
That just psychological kind of stress on your body as to, well, I don't want to get rid of it just in case, but then I'm keeping it for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's just stressful.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it odd? Isn't it odd what affects your health that we don't even think about, right?
Well, that's what I mean, right? People don't think about these things that right? It all affects your health. And the fact that you have something sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm not going to let that go just in case I need it, right? That is manifesting as stress. Yeah, wow. And again, even, you get rid of, I always say people have this box of supplements. Hers is very similar. They were just on the counter, right?
Oh, yeah. Same thing. It's the same thing, right? Counter, in the cupboard, whatever it is.
It doesn't matter, right? You've got a whole shelf dedicated to this, right? So it's like, oh, wow, I don't need all these things. Now I actually know what I need, which is incredible. And so I want to dive in a little bit because a 3x5 diet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I want to share that and educate people on what that actually means.
Okay. So I've been doing this a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and I often certainly used to come across patients that were looking for the magic diet.
Yeah.
And just so you know, there is no such thing. But people like frameworks, and I had to create something very simple for them.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of gave them the value that they needed without it being complex. And so I've done a lot of research over the years. I've done research at Oxford University, which is a place in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I've done just a lot. I won't go through it. We'll be here all night. But I came up with the conclusion that this kind of works really well. And actually, there's a very good guy in Australia called Marty Kendall,
Mm-hmm.
who I'm going to shout out for this because optimizing nutrition is his business. Marty was doing do you know Marty? Are you aware of him?
I'm aware of him, yes.
Right. So he does this thing called data-driven fasting,
Mm-hmm.
and you measure your blood glucose, and when your blood glucose drops low enough,
Mm-hmm.
then you can eat.
Yep.
And it was a way of just making sure that when you eat, you're physically hungry. Your
Mm-hmm.
body needs food,
Mm-hmm.
because we always eat a little bit too early, or because it
Right.
says that on the clock or whatever it is. Right?
Right.
Anyway, I've known Marty for years, good friends, and I was really interested in the data he was producing. And people don't like pricking their finger every 2 minutes to see what their blood glucose is. And continuous glucose monitors are all well and good, but they can drive you crazy.
Right.
What I did find over time, and a lot of data, was if you wait around 5 hours
Mm-hmm.
between meals, generally you're in the right place.
Mm. Okay.
So I looked at the kind of issues that people are having, and I went, okay, this is what I think is going to be useful. And by the way, you don't need to buy the book, because I'm going to tell you exactly what it says. And buy the book if you like.
Buy it anyway.
It's absolutely fine. Right? Buy it anyway. Put it in the shelf. But the book, Lisa, is 72 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 250 or 350 pages, right? And I did it because all the books that I read and there are many of them, of all full size, big things that you're kind of reading to go like, I just want where's the information that I want?
Yeah.
And I just went, do you know what? I don't need to do all that front end fluff piece and show you the research and show you all that. All I want you to do is get the information you need. And you can read that book cover to cover in less than an hour, I would suggest.
Love it. Love it.
But actually, you get all the information in the first 10 pages. First 10 pages, right? Because it's also known that people who buy books, only 4% of them read past the first chapter.
Yep, it's true.
And out of the 4% that read past the first chapter, only 1% complete the book. Because we do the same thing with books as we do with supplements. We buy it on the basis of hope. It's the, oh, if I buy that, then I'll hope I'm going to improve myself. And we actually don't even pick it up because something else has already taken our attention over here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this person said this book, I'm going to read that instead. Right. So anyway, it's 10 page. The first 10 pages, you can get it. 3 by 5. 3 meals a day, 5 hours apart. Okay. That's what the 3 is. 3 meals, 5 hours.
Yeah.
Let's say you do breakfast at 8, lunch at 1, dinner at 6. So we've got the structure. And then what do you eat? Well, breakfast and lunch consist of protein, vegetables, good fats. That's it, right? Breakfast, lunch. I'm not saying it's the same meal, but it's the same macronutrients. Protein, vegetables, good fats. Dinner, protein, carbohydrates, vegetables. Everyone loses their mind that you're having carbohydrates in the evening.
I can't eat carbohydrates before I go to bed.
Exactly. Terrible. All your gains will disappear, right? And I'll be diabetic by the morning. And so, but here's why. So you've got breakfast and lunch, protein, vegetables, good fats. What that means is there's no carbohydrate of significance during the day, which means you get steady blood glucose levels, steady energy, no dips, no, I need coffee all morning or whatever it is. Satiated, so you're not hungry because you're not getting these up and down glucose bounces. But what you are doing is you're using also metabolic flexibility. You're using fat for fuel during that first, but most of the day really, right? Regardless of when you train. Let me tell you, right? And even now, I'm consulting with Olympic and world class athletes. You're not training like them, I promise you, right? So don't worry about, oh, I've got to train this afternoon, so I need my pre-workout carbohydrate. No, it's not a thing. Trust me, you will still work out perfectly well on this. Then you come to dinner and you have your carbohydrate. So what it's going to do is it's going to replenish all of the glucose and glycogen that you've not had during the day. It's also going to help increase serotonin, which then makes melatonin, which then helps you sleep better. But it will also manage your blood glucose over the night, which is why people are waking up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, can't get back to sleep. The blood glucose is dropping just that little bit too much. Body pokes up cortisol and adrenaline, which is a signal to say, go and eat something. But actually, we're not going to go and eat at 4 o'clock. Well, you shouldn't go and eat at 4 o'clock in the morning. But we wake up with alert, wide awake, can't understand why I'm tossing and turning. Because that cortisol and adrenaline is very powerful, and it just makes you feel like, well, I could get up now. But I can't because I've still got another 2-3 hours I need to be in bed. It kind of prevents a lot of that. It's not the only thing, by the way. You do have to manage your stress. And then in the morning, you're back to having breakfast, right? In addition, if you follow, and this is just arbitrary, you can, whatever the timings are fine for you, but it's a minimum of 5 hours in between meals. But if you do, say, 8 a.m. breakfast, 1 p.m. lunch, 6 p.m. dinner, you're very likely going to finish eating by 6:30. If you are going to bed at a reasonable hour, which is 10 o'clock, not 11:30, 11:45, 12, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, but at 10 o'clock, 10:30, It means you've had roughly 4 hours before bed since your last meal. So that allows your body to digest the majority of it, which means when you go to sleep, you get deeper sleep initially, because if you eat too close to bed, it means that your body's still trying to metabolize the food, which jacks up your heart rate, which means you don't get into a deep sleep. Even if you're unconscious, your heart is still working very hard to metabolize this food you ate. Like, you eat a late meal and see how your sleep is. You'll wake up the next morning feeling terrible. Oh, I slept all night and I wake up feeling like I need sleep. That's because you've been doing a workout all night trying to break down this food, right? So you stop eating earlier, 6:30, go to bed at 10. You've had that time to digest, better sleep, wake up in the morning, and you have your breakfast again at 8, whatever time it is. You're also getting, just coincidentally, 12 to 14 hours of not eating.
Exactly.
So if you're into intermittent fasting, or you believe in not eating all day every day, and the benefits of that from a regenerative perspective, autophagy or autophagy, you call it, I think, over there. Better DNA synthesis and the anti-aging properties, whether it's true or not, it's not relevant. The fact is, your body doesn't need, we didn't evolve eating 3 meals a day. And we certainly didn't evolve eating 6 meals a day. We ate when we could. Right. And so it might be days that we didn't eat. So that's why we do have, a cellular function that allows us to go longer without food. And it can be beneficial in small doses. The long-term effect of no food is death. So there's definitely a dose dependent,
solution
thing to take into account. But but if you're getting 12, 14 hours a day without eating, it means you're not having to digest, you're having your body's able to clear out. Majority of it is while you sleep. So we've got 3 meals a day, 5 hours apart, protein, good fats and vegetables for breakfast and lunch, protein, carbohydrates, vegetables for dinner. It was just really simple. And when we put it into, we said to people, look, this is how we want you to run things. It was such a relief for them not to have to think too much.
Exactly.
That all of a sudden, as a byproduct, people started sleeping better, having more energy, losing weight like it was going out of fashion. It was a really weird thing. I had one guy in Florida, I think he lost I want to say 60 pounds, but it might have been 70, but it was certainly 60 pounds in 90 days.
Wow.
And
incredible.
But the only exercise he did was walking. He just went for a walk 3-4 times a week for half an hour to an hour, not even at a heavy pace. And he wasn't massively, he wasn't like he was 300 pounds, 400 pounds in weight to start with. And then obviously the first lot comes off really quick. He was a couple of 150, like 250 pounds, something like that. It wasn't like he was massively overweight, but just the fact that he was able to strategize his food in that way, leave a gap in between so that he was actually hungry, and his body was, finished burning what he'd eaten and was still tapping into fat stores. It just allowed it to happen naturally for him. The one thing you will notice that I haven't mentioned in any of this, and it is also not mentioned in the book, is the calories you should be eating. Because if you eat that way, if you're eating obviously whole foods, when I say protein, I mean whole food proteins, whole food vegetables, good fats. When you eat that way, your appetite is very self-regulating. It's probably the best Ozempic you can use, because you naturally manage your appetite. You cannot overeat on whole foods. Even if you try really hard. Because you could do if you just said, look, I'm going to eat now and then I'm going to eat again in an hour or 2 hours time. But if you really eat well at breakfast, you're not going to be hungry for another 5 hours. And a lot of people go, oh, actually, is it okay if I go longer? And you go, yeah, it's fine. is it all right if I only have 2 meals a day? If that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
And some people will have breakfast, not be hungry at lunch, and they have dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Totally up to you, right? Again,
Yeah.
this is not a prescription for you. This is just a generic framework that people have found useful.
Yeah.
But speak to your practitioner, because if you've got blood glucose regulation issues,
Right.
it might be useful, but it might not be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you've got other issues going on, you may want to tweak it somewhat. But as a baseline, it works pretty good.
Amazing.
And that's it. I mean, it's just really simple. 3 meals a day, 5 hours apart. And just now go and get on with your life and enjoy it instead of worrying about, should I be eating this or should I be doing that?
Yeah.
Then you get the question, sorry, Lisa, you get the question, oh, but what if I go out? Okay.
Of course.
Go out, eat,
Yeah.
but you're not going out all day, every day. And if you are, then that's something you need to address. Right. And you can still go out and eat according to those guidelines.
Oh
but
my
then,
goodness, yes.
Then you're getting into the quality of the food and
Mm-hmm.
what's the food preparation like and what oils are they using and you know, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
realistically, it's a very simple thing to use. And I hope everybody can use it for absolute free of charge. And I hope it brings lots of people huge amounts of health benefits.
I think it will. And, you know, yeah, even going out, I mean, there are always, again, depending on where you're going, there's always the opportunity to be able to start with a protein and add vegetables, you know, ask for some extra virgin olive oil on the side or something like that, you know, whatever the restaurant has, obviously, which can be limiting. But I still think there's always a way to make healthy choices. It's a matter of decision.
Of course.
Right. That's what it comes down to. So, and that's amazing because again, simplicity seems to be in our busy life the key to keeping things de-stressed and happy and just fluid so that we, you know, and again, enjoy life. Right.
Yeah.
That's why.
And that's, sorry, Lisa, that's why a lot of people make bad decisions when it comes to food.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be simple.
Exactly.
It's simple to make toast.
Yep.
Right? It's simple to put something in the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple for me not to have to think about making the meal because it's in a plastic container that I can now put in an oven or in a microwave or whatever else is, right?
Yeah.
But when you start eating well and you're making it yourself and it's whole foods, the feeling you get after a pretty short period of time, a week or two,
Mm-hmm.
not only get the weight loss, but just the energy, the sleep, everything else that you get, makes actually the preparation the thing you look forward to because you know the benefit you're getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
But we fall into these bad convenience patterns, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree. And that's one of the reasons people ask all the time, well, what do you eat? A lot of times I'm at the office and I'm having, you know, chicken and broccoli and MCT oil for breakfast, right? Well, I'm eating leftovers from dinner. Dinner for breakfast. That's what I do. It's just easy, right? And then you don't have to worry about breakfast. You just cook more for dinner and skip the carb, you know, and I really don't. I usually focus on the veggies and fat. So I already kind of eat the way that you presented, just with a few tweaks, but very similar. Yeah, and that's what I find to be the easiest thing to execute. Because I think one of the hardest things that people struggle with is breakfast, because breakfast from the media has been so presented as to be sugar filled and carbohydrate based and all these things, right? And it's really hard for people to be able to wrap their head around, well, what do I eat for breakfast then?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can eat anything for breakfast.
Eat whatever you want.
Just another meal, right? Like you say, if you're going to have chicken and broccoli and some MCT oil, then you're doing your protein, you're using the fiber and the nutrients from the vegetables, and you're using MCT as an energy source for brain function and cellular function, right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, why not?
Yeah.
Or people might look at, you know, traditionally eggs for breakfast. So eggs, smoked salmon, avocado, asparagus.
Love it. Yeah.
Is not the end of the world, right? Or if you're not going egg-based, then you can use things like nuts. You can use meats like you're doing with chicken, or some people will have red meat for breakfast.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many options that you can do. And if you are going to use something like Google or ChatGPT or an AI, and you just put in non-egg based, non-carbohydrate based breakfast ideas, it will spew out more than you could ever get through. You could eat a different one every morning if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I think the key to most people is that they tend to eat the same things over and over because
true.
one, they like them, and whether that's good stuff or bad stuff, if it's good for you, you'll find something you like and you'll tend to eat it regularly.
More often. Yeah.
But that's fine because one, you know you like it. Two, you know how to make it so it's quick. If you're making a new meal every time, it's like, okay, how do I do this? What's the oven temperature? Do I need to cook this on the stove? How many pots and pans do I need to wash up? It becomes a little bit complex.
Yeah.
Generally, we figure out our way, right? And we end up eating a relatively narrow amount of ingredients a week. But they're all good things that we then do on a consistent basis. Consistency is key. For me personally, you know, I know how to cook. I know what to cook. But I can tell you, because I know me as a behavior and what I do, I might do something similar to you. I go, okay, here's some leftover chicken from last night. Here's some vegetables and here's some olive oil or avocado, right? If I go to lunch, I know I'm not going to put the effort in. I'm going to go something easy and simple.
Right.
So it'll be fine, but it'll be easy and simple, right? And dinner will probably end up being the same. And it could be way better. So because I know me and I know my shortfalls, I have a company that makes my meals for me that are nutrient dense. They've got a huge amount of diversity in them when it comes to vegetables, when it comes to pulses, beans, fibers, that kind of thing. Not huge amounts of beans, but it has a variety throughout the week, throughout the day.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about making them. It ticks all the boxes when it comes to vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, antioxidants, everything that I need to manage cholesterol, manage hormones, manage blood sugar, everything. It's all done for me.
Yeah.
Because I know I could make that, but I'm not gonna. Right? I just being honest with myself. I know I'm not gonna do it.
True. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But just get someone who will do it. And this, obviously I've done that and it just suits me.
Yeah.
Otherwise I would end up being like you, chicken, eggs, broccoli, green beans, you know, whatever it is. And I just know I'm not going to be good enough at it. So I might as well get someone that can. And by the way, I don't care what the cost is because it's cheaper than me buying food, not eating it and throwing it away.
That is very true.
Because I bought it on the fact that I'm eating those beets. I'm going to make them. I'm definitely going to do it with that cabbage and with that, this, that, and the other. And then it's like, oh, really? Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And eventually
tomorrow. Yeah. And then eventually like, oh, I should have done that 2 weeks ago. Now it's
thrown
wrong.
away. And also every day it's in your fridge, it's losing nutrient value.
Yeah.
So how's that even useful for me?
Exactly.
Anyway,
no, I think that's a great benefit. And so, yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, there's so many more things. I feel like we could talk all day. But we're kind of at our end here, and I'm glad we got through that. And I really think so. Again, the 3x5 diet, buy the book. You've learned the gist of it here, but I'm sure there's more in there that you're going to love to read. And so we're going to share all of Paul's information, how to follow him on Instagram, all his website information as well, where to buy the book, and you can take advantage of learning more from Paul Burgess. And so, Paul, thank you so much for your time today and sharing a wealth of knowledge to my audience. And so, for those of
sorry, Lisa, my pleasure. And let me just quickly add, very quickly, if I may, if anyone wants to get in contact with us, and speak to me personally, then you can find a link on the front page of our website.
Perfect.
That says book a call. It is free. So come and chat about anything you want to talk about. And if we can point you in the right direction, great. And if we do work with you, great. If not, and we say, look, go and speak to Lisa because she can show you how to do that kettlebell workout double quick. And that's what we'll do. But it's about getting some clarity. So if you want to do that, there's a free call there you can jump on. But it's been great speaking to you, and maybe I'll come back one day and we'll do it again.
I think that would be a great idea. And so, guys, please take advantage of that. Talking to Paul, I think that is an amazing idea. And the fact that it's free, I mean, how can you go wrong? So thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give this episode a like, follow my channel. There's a brand new episode every 2 weeks. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast host, make sure you give this episode a like, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us today on the Human Optimization Podcast. Episode technical production is by Grace Sylvester and guest booking by Stu Tate. Want to learn more? Visit Pitel-Killah.com for incredible free resources to supercharge your journey to becoming the best version of you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to the Human Optimization Podcast and follow me on social media at Pitel-Killah.